Hi, my doTERRA family. I'm so excited to be with you guys today, but I've got to tell you, I am not the same person that I was when I started with doTERRA 13 years ago. I had a lot of health issues, and doTERRA was the very first thing that helped me, and that's what led to me becoming a functional practitioner. I've been told that my toxic trait is giving unsolicited health advice, especially to strangers. Anybody else? I pour oils all over them. So I was actually asked to be here today to talk about my favorite topic, which is the gut health. But I want to talk to you about the human microbiome. Specifically, a little bit later, we're going to dig into the estrobolome. So first, what is the human microbiome? Your body hosts trillions of microbes that outnumber human cells. They're made up of bacteria, viruses, fungi. They're invisible, and it's an invisible ecosystem that powers your health. They live in communities called microbiomes. Now, the gut usually gets all of the glory because everybody knows about the gut microbiome, but we actually have microbiomes all over our body. We've got them on our skin, our mouth, our lungs, and our reproductive system. And all of those microbiomes work together. So yesterday, Laura Jacobs talked to us about her garden and how our gut microbiome needs to be diverse and balanced. It needs to have lots of different species to be productive, and that is what supports our immune system, because the majority of our immune system is in our gut. So if we want to be able to fight all the bugs, we want to make sure everything's diverse. So our modern diets make that kind of difficult because there's not a whole lot of diversity. Did you know that 3/4 of the world's food actually comes from 12 plants and 5 animals? That's not very diverse. Does anybody ever get tired of the lack of diversity in their food? I know I do, like all the time. It's a challenge. So let's talk about things that influence your microbiome. How do you help it and how do you hurt it? Well, things that feed it and nourish it are a whole food diet rich in fiber, fermented foods, regular exercise, quality sleep, and good stress management. But things that hurt it are processed foods, chronic stress, poor sleep, over-sanitization, and even some medications. So beyond our gut, like I said, we have microbiomes everywhere. So I said our skin, that's our first line of defense. Then your mouth, that's where your mouth microbiome is going to help with digestion, your metabolism, and your heart health. Then your lungs, obviously, are interacting with everything that you're going to be breathing in. And then your reproductive system also has its own microbiome. So back to the gut, because it's the most well-known microbiome. It's the powerhouse of the microbiome. And it's your gut that decides what nutrients your body is going to absorb. And obviously, it's found in the digestive tract. But it has a lot of different microbial communities that help us digest, defend, and thrive. Now, I want to talk about the estrobolome. You heard Lauren mention it yesterday. This is a very important part of the gut microbiome. The estrobolome is lesser known, but it's really, really powerful. So ladies, have you ever completely felt different at different times of the month? Like your mood shifts are out of nowhere, maybe your jeans are fitting differently? I know I'm not the only one. A lot of people chalk that up to just hormones, but it's not just hormones because your gut actually plays a really big role in driving a lot of that story. So what is the estrobolome? It's the gatekeeper of your hormone balance. It's a specialized branch of the gut microbe that manage estrogen metabolism. Think of it kind of like a control panel. There's a process that happens in the estrobolome called glucuronidation. In this process, there's microbes that produce an enzyme called beta-glucuronidase, or we'll call it beta-gluc for short. Now, this beta-gluc deactivates estrogen and sends it out of the body, or reactivates the estrogen after the liver's already tried to get rid of it and sends it back into the bloodstream. So its main role is regulating how much estrogen is activated, deactivated, or recycled in the body. So balance is really important. If your body isn't eliminating estrogen well, or if the estrobolome is constantly reactivating it, you end up with a relative overload of estrogen compared to progesterone. And gut health often explains how you're feeling and why it might not line up with your lab numbers, because you can feel estrogen dominant, but still have low estrogen on your lab numbers. So we want to make sure that everything's balanced and everything is circulating the way it's supposed to, not just focusing only on those lab numbers. So we're going to talk more about elimination, but if you have poor elimination and imbalance, it can lead to PMS, mood swings, weight shifts, and heavy cycles. Did you know that estrogen actually influences your brain chemistry? Estrogen helps regulate serotonin and dopamine, the very neurotransmitters that affect mood, energy, and stress response. So when you're out of balance, estrogen levels, if they swing too high or swing too low, you could have anxiety, irritability, brain fog, and downstream effects of poor estrogen metabolism. Your gut is directly shaping how you feel mentally and emotionally. So yesterday, a couple of our speakers talked about the phases of detoxification. I want to dig into this a little bit more. So in phase 1, we've got where your liver is tagging your estrogen. Think of it like your liver is putting all of your old estrogen into a box, a nice, neat little box, and getting it all prepared to ship it on out of the body. So it's sending it on to phase 2, which is where the gut is going to move it or recycle it. And this is where I was talking about having high beta-gluc or beta-glucuronidase. This enzymatic reaction right here in phase 2 is where it's going to decide, are we going to take that nice, neat little box and are we going to open it and spread everything around the body, which reminds me like my toddler every time I try to clean. So are we going to do that, or are we going to keep it in its nice little box and send it on to phase 3? So if you have that high beta-glucuronidase, it's going to be unpackaging things and sending it all over the place. But if it's not, we're moving on to phase 3, which is elimination. Now, growing up, my grandma, every time we were sick, if we weren't feeling good, if we were a little cranky, she'd say, "Have you had a BM today?" And we thought it was funny. Like, we would giggle and we'd be like, "Grandma, we don't talk about that." But I'm serious now. She was right, because you need to be having a PM every day. The average American has 2 to 3 a week. You're supposed to be having 2 to 3 a day. So we want to make sure everything's moving the way that it should, so all that old estrogen is coming out the way we want it to. Foundational wellness can help with this, and PB Restore comes in and can help us with this as well. So when you're looking at probiotics, you really want to have the 4 Ps of a healthy microbiome. We've got prebiotics, probiotics, postbiotics, and bacteriophages, or phages for short. So the prebiotics are the fibers that are going to feed the good bacteria. Think of it like the bacteria, the probiotics are taking their lunch down with them so that they can eat on the way down. The probiotics are live beneficial microbes. Postbiotics are the beneficial compounds that the microbes produce, and the bacteriophages are actually viruses that simply clean out the bacteria in the gut, but they don't negatively affect your human cells. Together, all 4 of these create an ecosystem that's balanced and resilient. And what's really cool is we have all 4 of them in our PB Restore. You may have heard doctors say that probiotics don't work. And they often will not tell you to take them after taking certain medications, which is irritating. But in their defense, a lot of them are looking at research from the 1990s. And that research said that our stomach is really acidic. We want it to be acidic. But when you're taking probiotics, if they're not properly protected, your stomach acid will break down those live microbes, and you're paying a lot of money for something that's just going to die in your stomach. So I understand their mindset on that, but with our PB Restore, we have better technology, I guess you could say. So you can see that we've got the outer capsule, which is stable in the stomach, and then the inner capsule opens up in the small intestine, which is a neutral pH, and we want all those good microbes that are inside the inner capsule to get all the way down to the gut where they belong. So this PB Restore is designed for maximum diversity and effectiveness. So when I was looking into the PB Restore, I like to look at bacterial strains and look them up online and see the really cool research. So I looked up the Bifidobacterium species that we have in the PB Restore, and I specifically looked up Bifidobacterium longum and Bifidobacterium breve. And I really, really would encourage you to look up that research because it strongly suggests that species reduces estrogen reactivation. And women with higher Bifidobacterium levels may have a reduced risk of estrogen-driven health issues, if you catch my drift. So look up the research and read it for yourself because that will say all the things I can't say. The PB Restore also has lactobacillus species in it, which helps regulate estrogen in effect in both the gut and the vaginal tract. So it helps with healthy estrogen balance as well. But check those out. I promise you won't be disappointed. So how do you know if you need a probiotic? If you have frequent bloating, gas or irregular bowel movements, a weak immune system, low energy, brain fog, fatigue, mood swings, skin issues, hormonal imbalance, or if you've taken antibiotics. You can take them any time of day, whenever you'll remember is the best time. However, I don't recommend taking it right at bedtime because your GI tract slows down, almost stops at night. And if you take it right before bed, it might not be able to release all the way down to your gut where we want it to be, okay? It'll just get stuck in your stomach. And we want to make sure it goes all the way down because of those delayed release capsules. So once you're taking it, how do you know if it's working? Well, you'll notice more digestive improvements, hopefully, in 1 to 3 weeks, probably less bloating, more regularity, going every day, more energy and mental focus, improved skin clarity, stronger immune resilience, reduced sugar cravings, and more stable mood. But if you're not seeing these improvements in 2 to 3 months, I would really have you consider going back and doing the 90-day reset that Dr. Kelly was talking about because it's so powerful. And the GX Assist is just amazing for resetting the gut microbiome. It is my favorite product. I use it with all of my clients. And mixed with our new castor oil and the Revitazen, it's just awesome. So let's recap about the microbiome. If you're going to be using your probiotics, your PB Restore, you're going to have better digestion and better nutrient absorption, stronger immunity and metabolism. It's going to support your mood, your skin, hormones and weight, basically every single bodily function. And your daily routine needs to include that and some other things. We want to make sure you're eating a variety of plants and fermented foods. But specifically, to make the PB Restore more effective, focus on high fiber foods, especially cruciferous vegetables. So cauliflower and broccoli. If you have issues with hormone imbalance, those are so important. Beans, veggies, flaxseed, fermented foods, polyphenol-rich foods like berries, green tea, or cocoa. And then make sure you're moving your body daily. Sleep well, manage your stress, limit over-sanitizing things. Not with oils. Oils are safe. I mean with the other stuff. Use your targeted supplementation, like the doTERRA PB Restore, for full diversity and resilience. Now, remember that the microbiome is the central hub of your health. You want to care for your gut. When you're caring for your gut, you're also caring for your hormones, your mood, and your long-term health. Again, I'm saying it again. The microbiome is the central hub of your health. By nourishing it with lifestyle choices, with foundational wellness, and scientifically formulated support like PB Restore, you invest in long-term vitality. Remember that gut health is not just about digestion, it's about how you feel, how you think, and how your hormones behave. So if you'd like to learn more about the microbiome or about PB Restore, we have a free course on doTERRA.com. So scan this QR code to check out the doTERRA Probiome product course. Thank you.